How we doing, everybody? And welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Friday, November 1st. It's already November. We're out of the month of October. We missed Halloween by a day. I can't believe we should have went live on Halloween. We could have showed off some costumes or something else. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows, right? But we're a day late. We're a day late. Now we get to start to see the Christmas decorations will start to go up, right? I just got told today that we're going to buy Christmas lights tomorrow. It's November 1st. We're buying Christmas lights. It's fantastic. It's that time of year. Aaron, how we doing? It's Friday. We're back. We're ready to talk sports. How's it going on this Friday?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I already miss baseball. It's dumb as that might sound. Neither of those teams I particularly like, but now baseball is over, which is definitely leaving a hole in my heart. But the holidays are around the corner. Thanksgiving, we'll be here before we know it. And it's been very unusually warm here, like very unusually warm. It's like 70 the last couple of days. I'm just waiting for that one day it's gonna be like 22, and people are gonna like not go out. Like, you know what I mean? It'll be like the COVID shutdown when no one went outside. It'll be like, all right, no one's coming out because it's like it's November and it's like feels like summer. So this whole global warming thing, they might be onto something. I don't know.
They might be onto something. We'll find out. We'll find out in a couple of years, right? When we're all flooded out and, the state of Florida's gone. We'll know. We'll know for sure there. So we got lots to get into today. Lots to get into. We got a little bit of Brewer talk, right? The MLB season's technically done now, but it never really stops. So now we got some qualifying offers going out. The Brewers are offer for Willy Adames here. See if he wants to stay. They'll give him a qualifying offer. Probably going to turn it down, but we got lots to get into with the Brewers. There's a couple things with the Brewers today. I want to talk about that World Series. We got the Badgers heading to Iowa. We got that big NFC North battle there with the Packers and Lions to get into today. College football, NFL, all kinds of stuff to dive into today here on the show. So let's start out right away with that World Series matchup, that Game 5. Wow. Just wow. I mean, we're sitting there, we're talking about it. We were on the show. That was on Wednesday. That was on Wednesday. We're sitting here and just wrapping up the show. And, we're talking about it. We're like, home run for the Yankees, home run for the Yankees. And we're all sitting here like, the way that Cole's pitching, the way that this is going, we're going to be watching Game 6. Like, it was just that feeling. I had that feeling. I'm like, we're going to see Game 6 in LA. Yes, most likely we're going to see the Dodgers, or we're going to see the Dodgers end up winning the series in LA. But I was like, the way this is going right now, 5-0, the Yankees, they got it. They got this one in hand. And then that fifth inning happens. Judge with the drop on the fly ball. You got Volpe with that errant throw over to third base. And then you got Rizzo and Garrett Cole standing there like, we don't know how to. I mean, we teach little leaguers how to cover first base on a ground ball to first base. And Garrett Cole standing there like, what am I supposed to do? We got Mookie busting it down the line like he does. Just a wild inning there that, I mean, what other way to go out, Aaron? What other way to go out? So, I mean, coming off that series, what were that Game 5, what were your thoughts about that Game 5? Just the madness that happened there. But also, I mean, coming off that series, did the Dodgers win that series, or was it more or less the Yankees shot themselves in the foot?
I think you can make a case for a combination of both, in my opinion. I think once the Yankees retook that lead, after all of that, just demoralized, that inning was one of the worst innings you'll ever see. I mean, I heard people talking that was the worst inning in Yankees baseball history, which is obviously that's probably without saying. I mean, that it doesn't get much worse than that. Just because of how everything transpired, like basically 3 errors in one inning. The more I watched that play at first, the more I get Rizzo's trying to square that ball up, but like he moved with no sense of urgency. And I was hearing, the Michael Kay show out of New York, they were talking about how, Rizzo is not, he always has the pitcher go over. But it's like, I don't know. The more I watch it, because Cole would have been like in lockstep with Mookie Betts. I don't really like that. I think Mookie beats him to the back. Like, the more I kind of watch that, I'm like, Rizzo, I mean, you got to just take it. At that point, like, when it's a guessing game, like, why it's like the whole Cam Newton thing with not jumping on the football, like in the Super Bowl, just try, like, make it. And then, I get it. It's in real time. It's a lot easier said than done, but I almost want to blame like Rizzo for that, to be honest with you. And then like the judge, like, drop was like all time. Like, wow. Like, that was his first error of the season, and it couldn't have come at like a worse time really for the Yankees there. So, yeah, I mean, it was like I said, a kind of a combination of both. I mean, the Yankees come back, score that run to go ahead after all that, stuff going on. Um, as far as that game in general, though, that game, I think you could make a case that the Yankees lost it. I mean, the Dodgers took advantage. I mean, Freeman's hit right up the middle was huge. It's kind of like 60-40. I think the Yankees lost it, but the Dodgers did take advantage of the Yankees' mistakes. And I don't know. The Yankees have a lot of questions they now answer, and like we'll get into free agency and stuff like that. But do you think more so that, I mean, everybody goes back to that game one? I mean that happened, and you move on. But like that game five was like it just the wheels fell off the train at that point.
Game five, that could have changed the entire series there. You're heading back to LA, but the Yankees have all the momentum heading back to LA, which, yes, I mean, you're in LA now. It's not like the Dodgers don't have a little bit there, but the Yankees will be feeling themselves again. And, that Rizzo play at first, he didn't charge it, but you couldn't, right? You're kind of playing that game. If let's just say he does step up a little bit and try to make that play, and all of a sudden it scoots on the grass or something, and the ball shoots left or right. Well, now it's a big error, right? Now it's completely on Rizzo. So I don't know. I think we're talking about it different. If Cole does run to the bag, he's in a foot race with Mookie, and Mookie just beats him out. We're talking about it different. Like, then it's like, okay, he just got beat to the bag. It happens. If Cole hustles, gets over there as fast as he possibly can and still gets beat, okay, it happens, right? I mean, that happens all the time. But I think it was the aspect where Cole's just standing there watching this play unfold, and then Rizzo's standing there watching this play unfold, and nobody's reacting to this at all. And that just the disaster was already started at that point there. And game one was, game one, right? Ended in 10. Dodgers took care of business. I thought the big storyline coming out of the series was you expected this to be one of those high octane offensive. We got, Shohei Ohtani. We have Aaron Judge. This is our two top talents going at it. And those two weren't even the storyline of the series. Outside of Aaron Judge dropping that ball in center field, he wasn't the storyline, right? It was Juan Soto. It was Volpe. It was, the other cast of characters getting the job done while he was struggling. And Ohtani, yes, Ohtani didn't play a bad playoff or series. I'm not going to shoot on him. He also injured himself sliding into second base. But Freddie Freeman stole the show. Freddie Freeman was the guy. And sometimes you're going to have that come October baseball where somebody like Freddie steps up instead of Shohei Ohtani. I thought that was my biggest takeaway from the series there was I was expecting 7 games. I was expecting this high-octane offense of the Yankees to go against this great offense for the LA Dodgers. 2 high payrolls going at it. Like, this was going to go 7, no doubt. Be one of those kinds of World Series. And, the hype was there. But I didn't get the action, right? I didn't get the action from some of the main stars in that one. Still a good series. I mean, it wasn't like it was a terrible World Series by any means. If you're a Dodger fan, you loved it, right? If you're a Yankee fan, not so much. But you had a lot of close games. I mean, you're talking 6-3, 4-2, 4-2, 11-4, right? The Dodgers game 4 for the Dodgers. Once that game got a little bit out of reach, Dave Roberts just said, screw it. He's like, I'm done with this one. You saw it in the way that he used his bullpen. You saw it in that whole game. He's like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this game. I'm going to save my bullpen up like he did for game 5, and then I'm going to unload it, right? Because we talked about it here. I believe it was on Wednesday there. We said, Flaherty against the Mets. First time out, he was good. Second time out, the Mets got to him. Dave Roberts had to go to his bullpen. He started Flaherty in this game 5, but he's like, if he gets into some trouble, which he did, done. Pull him. Done with it. We don't want a game 6. I think Dave Roberts knew that in the back of his head. He didn't want a game 6 because if he got a game 6, the Yankees had that kind of momentum like we were talking there. Kevin over on Twitter there, he says Dodgers didn't make the errors, the Yankees did. That was the difference. Yeah, 100%. 100%. The Dodgers played clean baseball, and that's the thing about the Dodgers and about Mookie Betts that I love is he's a high-paid dude. Right. And some of those high paid dudes, they don't hustle out. They don't do the little things in a game. The Dodgers did the little things in this series. They played, the Dodgers don't play like they're the highest payroll in baseball. The Dodgers played like they were the Brewers or they were the Diamondbacks, right? They play scrappy. just like we saw in that inning. It wasn't anything, Freddie Freeman's hit the center. Not a hard hit ball. It was a little shot in the center field there. Mookie Betts reaches on that little ground ball to first base. Mookie's busting it out of the box, like full bore running out of the box. And that's what he does. It's those little things that the Dodgers did in this series versus the Yankees, who, like Kevin said there, they committed those errors. The little things like catching a fly ball, you think it's easy, right? But Judges, I don't even know why he was trying to double somebody off. I really don't. Like, in the back of your head, yeah, I mean, it's great if you double a guy off, but you have a 5-0 lead at that point. It's 5-0. Catch the ball, right? Volpe. And, the thing with it is, right, if Judge catches that ball in center field, Volpe turns 2 there. He doesn't try to go to third. Now he's turning 2 instead. It completely changes the whole premise of that inning, where Volpe, that ground ball to Volpe, turns into, well, you would think a double play to end the inning, but it's a different kind of throw then, right? He's not rushing to throw to third, because it was a rush throw to third at that point too, right? So, I mean, just that inning started with Aaron Judge in center field, and that's what just exploded there, and the Yankees just couldn't make up for it. I mean, as a Yankee fan, you're sitting there banging your head against the wall. Truth be told, I'm not sitting here blaming. There's going to be a lot of Yankee fans who want to blame Aaron Boone. I can't. I really. What did Aaron Boone do in that 5th inning that lost you that game? What did he do in that 5th inning that lost you that game? And then I look at, honestly, the bullpen for the Yankees. Yes, it was a little banged up, but that bullpen for the Yankees, I did not like it. I'm watching this bullpen come in, and I'm like, Clay Holmes comes in, and he looks like a nervous wreck out there. And you have guy after guy coming out of that bullpen, and it wasn't impressive. Their bullpen did not impress me whatsoever. So I don't know. This series, though it was high-powered offenses, the pitching was, I guess, for me, the story of this one. The Yankees just don't seem to have that lockdown guy in the back end. Because I was even talking to you guys. I was like, who's the Yankees closer? Because I believe it was when they got that lead back. I said, I'd bring my closer in right now. Who's the Yankees closer? And you guys are like, they're kind of by committee at this point. I was like, are you serious? Like, the Yankees, the highest payroll in baseball, they don't have somebody that they can just, I don't know if they got the highest payroll in baseball, one of the highest payrolls in baseball.
Yeah,
They
top
don't,
3, I think.
yeah, they don't have a guy in that back end of that bullpen like a Clase or I wish I could say Devin Williams, but we saw that against the Mets. But one of those guys where you can just bring him in and you just expect him to lock down, like, they don't have that. That just it baffles me.
Yeah, I mean, Clay Holmes was an all-star, and then you take it up to all-star break. He's doing well, and boom, like, once again, the wheels fall off of that train as well. So yeah, I mean, in August, September, he was awful, and then so you saw it, like you explained it already, as far as Aaron Boone has the shortest leash on Clay Holmes than anybody. Like, as soon as Clay Holmes works himself into any type of trouble, he's out of there. Like, they and I mean, say what you want, like, you can't be worried about hurting guys' feelings. It's the World Series. If you can't get the job done, you can't. Like, he's too shaky. And then I don't know. I mean, I totally hear you on that Rizzo point for sure. I wish. I mean, I don't wish. I just think that he should have at least tried to take it to the like I said. It's heat of the moment, like, easy to, because Rizzo, I guess, like, I was hearing on the Yankees network that Michael Kay was saying how Rizzo always flips it to the pitcher, like, he never is the guy, because you'll see, Harper, he'll be the type to take it to the bag. Like, they're just certain guy. Reese Hoskins has a way to play first. Harper has every guy's a little bit different on how they play the position. Excuse me. Even though it's like, it's not a position you got to worry about. Oh, foot on the bag, this, that, and like, you know what I mean? First base is, like, pretty idiot proof, but, like, there's ways, obviously, we saw to kind of screw that up there. So yeah, I mean, to your point, the Yankees, the Yankees always have a solid bullpen, which is, like, surprising when, you watch them in the playoffs. And I know they always have injuries too. Like, their bullpen's always banged up. So they probably go into it pretty solid, but, like, Loizico is out. I forget the other, Hamilton. They haven't had Hamilton, the second part of the year there. So yeah, I mean, give all the credit in the world to the Dodgers. I don't know if it would have went back to LA. I really don't know. Because, I mean, if you get a good game out of Rodon, who, pitched decent in game 2, and then game 7, the Dodgers don't really have, I mean, who do you go then? Like, you don't, the starting, because, you had to throw a bullpen game. Like, the Dodgers not had to have won that game, but if it would have went to game 6, I would have been concerned that the Dodgers find a way to lose this series now. because at least the Yankees, like for the most part, have the health throughout the rotation for the most part, and the Dodgers really don't. And that's what kind of shocked me is like going into the series, I was worried, hey, the Dodgers are real slim on pitching. Like that's where I think the Yankees, push against them. We really didn't see a lot of that. I mean, Judge kind of lit up Game 5 offensively, but then the air, like it was just I don't know. Now the rumors are coming out that if they don't get Soto back, they're going to go get Bregman. They're going to go get Burnes. Like I kind of hope they get Soto so they don't load up on everybody else. Like that's my worry then at that point. If who knows, Burnes might be a Met. He might be a dot. Like I'm not saying he's a lock to the Yankees, but like if they don't pay Soto, it's a lot of money they're just going to try to throw out at a combination of players there.
Completely agree. Completely agree there. And that's going to start. That's our MLB offseason, right? We're just getting going in the MLB offseason. There's going to be moves. There's going to be rumors galore, right? And we can't wait to hear them all out there. I mean, we got, like you said, Juan Soto is out there now. Bregman, Burnes is out there. We're hoping they don't go to the Cubs, right? That's last case. That's the last thing we want is for the Cubs to grab any of these guys. But the Cubs did take somebody from the Brewers here in recent time here. This is to start the Brewers offseason, right? We just got into it, and all of a sudden the Brewers got guys moving left and right here. We got Quentin Berry, the first base coach for the Brewers, is currently heading to Chicago to join Craig Counsell down there. He's going to be the third base / base running coach for the Chicago Cubs. This doesn't seem like a big deal, not a huge deal, right? You lose a first base coach, maybe you can find another one out there, right? Quentin Berry was solid. And sometimes you do have a first base coach like Quentin Berry, who's a good base runner himself, understands, the little things, the ticks of pitchers, everything like that. He helps out those base runners. The Brewers had Bryce Terang up there in steals this year. They had a bunch of other guys stealing bases, Christian Yelich, Jackson Churio. Quentin Berry could be a big part of that. So we'll see how that affects the Brewers here moving forward, losing a guy like Quentin Berry, of course, to the Cubs, because Craig Counsell's just he's going to get everybody, right? If Burnes goes somewhere, it's going to be to Chicago. Like the Cubs will pay a top dollar to bring Burnes in there. They might trade for Josh Hader. Craig's like, just bring down the boys. Bring them all from Milwaukee. Bring all my boys down here. We'll make it to the playoffs, and then I'll find a way to lose it. That's what he does, right? I've seen too many times where the Brewers go to the postseason with Craig Counsell, and it's like he manages himself out of the postseason. You want to blame somebody for postseason failure? Blame Craig Counsell, not Aaron Boone. Blame Craig Counsell, right? That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. But that wasn't the big news that I want to get into. Yeah, that could be bad for Milwaukee, I guess. Good for Quentin Berry. Hopefully he made they probably paid him pretty good to go down there too. So hopefully he got a good paycheck out of that. But the Brewers, Reese Hoskins is coming back. Reese Hoskins exercises that $18 million option. He's going to come back to the Brewers for the 2025 season. And you know what, Aaron? I know a lot of Brewer fans are like, oh, I can't handle the strikeouts anymore. I can't handle, that low batting average or, this and that. I can't handle it anymore. Let me tell you one thing. If I'm confident in anything out there, Reese Hoskins is going to work his absolute tail off this next offseason, and he is going to find a way to get that average up next season. He's going to find a way to stay healthy all season, and he's going to find a way because you want to know why? This is the last year of this contract. He's playing for his next one, and guess what? He doesn't want to be playing for $12 million next year, right? Their odds are, if he would have declined this option, yes, the Phillies might have asked for him back, or, the Mets might have called. The Mets would never have gotten Reese Hoskins. He hates the Mets. But, there would have been teams lining. There would have been some teams out there who are like, we'll take your home run
Houston,
power. Houston. Yeah. They're like, we'll take your home run power. We'll see what you can do. He was not going to make $18 million. I don't think so. He wasn't going to make $18 million off the stats from last year, unless somebody just wants home runs, because he did have 26. So you're like, okay, maybe we just want home runs. But when I look at Reese Hoskins, excuse me, had a hack there. When I look at Reese Hoskins, I'm like, this guy isn't a contract. This last year was a contract year technically, but he still had that option on the backside of it. This is a contract year. This is like, you put up or shut up now. So I'm looking at Reese Hoskins and I'm like, I don't know. If I want somebody at first base next year, I want this rough, tough son of a gun. because him coming back to the Brewers, he spoke on it after they lost to the Mets in that wild card series. He mentioned it there. We have a great group. You know, we're going to work hard. We're going to get back at it. We're going to get back together. You get Reese Hoskins back. Just bring him back in. He gives you anywhere with a 260, 270 average, gets up into that 30 home run range. That's great, right? You get Christian Yelich back healthy. Hopefully that back, now that he had surgery, hopefully that back is like fantastic, right? It's like a fresh baby's back now, right? No problems in there. He's like feeling good. He's ready to just rock and roll. You get home runs out of him too, right? 20 plus home runs. You get the hits, you get the extra base hits, you get that solid contact hitter in there. You have Jackson Churio coming back. If he does what he did in the second half of this last season, next year, which we're hoping for, you have a potential superstar on your hands there in Jackson Churio. You bring back William Contreras, who was one of the best catchers in baseball this year. You have those four guys, just those four guys that I just mentioned there. Yelich, Contreras, Jackson Churio, Hoskins, right? You bring them guys back. Now you got guys like Garrett Mitchell. You have Bryce Terang. You hope that Joey Ortiz takes that step forward. He looked good to start last season, and then he got injured, and then he kind of struggled. You hope that you get him back. You bring some of your guys in your pitching staff back. I love it. I love the look of the Brewers. So, Aaron, I mean, hearing this about Reese Hoskins, what are your thoughts? I mean, he was out in Philly with you. What are your thoughts on Reese Hoskins?
I mean, yeah, the way I look at it is, you know, who are you going to get to replace? Like, you know, $18 million is that's not chump change, I wouldn't say. But who are you going to get, you know, like a Paul Goldschmidt? I mean, I'm just trying to think outside of the box. Like, I don't think anybody on the Brewers roster that can play first base is going to give you the potential that Reese Hoskins can give you for a whole season, right? That's the hope with Reese Hoskins is he can play an entire season. Like he does kind of have that injury, you know, concern. But yeah, I mean, I definitely don't hate it for the Brewers. Like I'm probably 60-40 on like, you know, if I'm a Brewers fan, happy about it just because he has to show me kind of deal. Like he this year was definitely a down year. You kind of expected that. I mean, he's off. You got to give him some slack, you know, being off an entire season. Let me see what, let me pull this up real quick. So, oh shoot. 1 second. Here we go. We'll pull up previous years. I'm just trying to see because let's say even he has a little bit of a down year this year compared to you go down. This is 2018. This is his Phillies tenure outside of his rookie season. So 2018 through 2022, 34, 29. COVID year, don't even count that. And then after the COVID year, 27, 30. So and then he ended up giving you 26. So it's kind of on par. I mean, if he can hit. Like, so 2 seasons in Philly, he hit 30 his last season and his first season outside of his rookie year, 30 and 34. If he can give you 30 home runs and then he's a career 238 hitter. So that's kind of my, like, that's not great. But I mean, nobody in the league hits for average anymore. I mean, literally almost anybody. So if he can give you, let's say 240, like, you know, if he hits for his average, but he gives you 30 bombs, I mean, I'd be okay with that. I mean, obviously you don't love him playing first base. That's like, he's not going to win any Gold Gloves anytime, but we know that. But I mean, yeah, he's a solid bat. And like, I don't know if you noticed it this year, Trajan, but, you know, throughout his Phillies tenure, he'll be like 3 weeks, he'll be like hitting like nobody. Like nobody can hit Reese Hoskins, and then he will go through, you know, a week or two where it's like, can he find a hit? That's just how he is. I mean, that's a lot of power. That's Kyle Schwarber's the same way. He doesn't hit, you know, the whole month of June he's horrible, and then, or I'm sorry, the whole month of May is horrible, and then June comes, he hits 15 bombs. It makes not much sense to us fans sometimes, but yeah, I mean, overall. I mean, the Brewers kind of need. I mean, outside of Yelich's power has been down since his injuries. You know, Contreras can pop some. I mean, but you need like at least a bat that you fear from a power standpoint. Like if you don't have that at all, I mean, like the Orioles losing Santander in free agency, that'll be a big like. Okay, he's their power bat. He hits, you know, almost 40 home runs the last couple of years. So it's like that's you. Every team, in my opinion, should have one of those guys. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to have an entire lineup like the Yankees. Like if they go cold, then it's like you got nothing. But
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, 18 million one, and then it'll be interesting. Like you said, he's playing for a contract. Like this is really, like you said, put up or shut up, and like he's going to determine what next season, this off season after this next coming year looks like for him. Like if he goes out and doesn't play well, I mean, it might be hard for him to find a job at that point. He's older. He's a first base. Like it's really like, all right, what do you got? So that you kind of, as a Brewers fan, you kind of expect him to, okay, let's turn it on now. Like, let's go theoretically let's go get the money because you're on tape for all 30 teams basically.
Yep. No, 100%. 100%. I mean, like Kevin said there, and we completely agree. Nobody else was going to give him that money. Good move on his part. Completely agree. He wasn't going to get 18 mil somewhere else unless if somebody overpaid, right? So coming back to the Brewers, he took that option, which was a smart move on his own part. Taking that option, come back in a prove it year. Like we're saying, this is a prove it year for him and just kind of see what happens. There. The Brewers still might try to trade him, right? They might try to trade him. I don't know if they'd have to eat the contract in that or a little bit of that contract if they moved on from him. We'd have to see what they do. So that's still a possibility too, is that he decided to come back, but they're still looking to shop him. You never know with the Milwaukee Brewers. They try to play the cheap way, right? 18 mil might be too much. We might try to play the cheap way here and get rid of him. And, you're talking power. Garrett Mitchell, if he can play a full healthy season, because we've never gotten a full season out of him yet, because he seems to get injured in the first week of the season every single year. So we'll see what he gets, because I mean, he's got some power in that bat. He's got that contact ability and the speed. We'll see what he can bring to this team. There's a lot of guys, right? Joey Ortiz, we saw flashes of the power last season there. Maybe he finds a little bit more going into this next season. There's a lot of guys who are still, there's a high ceiling for some of these younger guys with the Brewers right now. It's just, will they reach that ceiling at some point? They're not perennial all-stars like we're seeing with, Jackson Churio. I believe he's going to be a superstar. Like, that's just my bold take on him. He's going to be a superstar. But will Bryce Terang reach an all-star level? I don't know, right? We saw some good out of him. We also saw the back half of the season. And then we saw the playoff performance out of Bryce Terang, where he was one of the better hitters against the Mets. So, it's so up in the air with this Brewers, with the young roster, what's going to happen going into next year. I'm excited, right? You get this young team, get to see what they can do coming back. They've got, this whole team now has had their taste of the postseason. They know what it feels like to lose in the postseason. Now let's see what they can bring back next year, especially Brandon Woodruff coming back. You're going to have Freddie back. You're going to have Tobias Myers coming off a great end of the season there. You're going to have him coming back in that rotation. You got guys like Savali coming back. You have, Colin Ray. You're going to have a lot of pieces coming back there, plus a lot of young pitching coming in too. I'm excited for this team. We're going to see what happens with Devin Williams, right? They might try to move on from him. I have just got a tickle in my throat tonight. I've got a tickle in my throat. It's just not going well. It's just not going well over on this side right now. But, I mean, a lot of good stuff there with the Brewers. A lot of good stuff with the Brewers. We're going to stay. I mean, the MLB season is technically done, but it's never done, right? It's always, they're always making rumors. It's always churning. So we're going to have more to talk about with the Brewers and with what's going on inside the walls there at American Family Field moving forward here. So I got one thing I wanted to touch on before we get to the Badgers matchup with Iowa, and that is that game the Badgers just played against River Falls. Now, Aaron, River Falls is a very small college in the state of Wisconsin, and Wisconsin, the men's basketball team always plays these little exhibition games, right? Sometimes they'll play like UW Stevens Point. They always play some little exhibition game before they get into the real action. Well, they played UW River Falls, and a lot of Badger fans going into this one are like, I want to see Wisconsin's men's basketball team put up 150 in this game and only allow River Falls to score 30. Like, that's what it seems like the expectation was for them heading into this one. Well, that's not a realist point of this one. It wasn't the realist point. The Badgers do win this one. They win it going away, but it took a while. It took a while for them to actually settle into this game. I believe it actually took a late, let's just see, I just had it up here. It was a late run of their own late in this game. 24-5 run over the 7.5 minute stretch in that second half to actually blow the doors wide open of this River Falls team. Outside of that, River Falls held around, but the Badgers in this game, if they wanted to, they could have dominated on the inside. They had the height advantage. They have the size. They could have dominated on the inside. The Badgers decided, let's just say screw it. And let's fire up 32 threes. Like, that's just what we're going to do in this game. We're going to fire up 32 threes. They were open looks. They just weren't falling. And that's not a good game plan, I guess. But the Badgers want to become one of these. You look around college basketball. What's the big thing now? Teams are shooting threes. They're playing fast. They're shooting threes. Threes worth more than 2. That's how we want to play the game. Well, that's how the Badgers tried to play this one. They went 11 for 32 from downtown. I believe in 11 for 32 from downtown, 25 from 57 from the field. Weren't shooting a lot on the inside, as you can tell by them statistics there. They were firing it from downtown. Probably not the right way to go about this game, but it was one of those games where they were mixing and matching rotations. They actually didn't have a true point guard in the starting rotation. So just one of those games where you're just tinkering with things. You're trying to see what things work. You're firing up shots. It was one of those games. So yes, you can be concerned. I'm not telling anybody how to feel about a situation. If you want to be concerned about this game, if you're a Badger fan out there, you could be concerned. And if you're in the comment section right now, you're a Badger fan, you want to talk about this game a little bit, make sure you're shooting a comment towards us. Anything we talk about, anything you guys want to hear us talk about, shoot it in that comment section. We'd love to get your takes and everything on certain games or whatever it is. But, I mean, this game for me, the Badgers, it was an exhibition game at its finest. You were throwing things together. Yes, there was. I mean, the Badgers will tell you 100% that they had their own problems in this game. This game here, they gave up a lot of wide open looks. It was not their finest performance, but it's exhibition. It's preseason, right? You're tinkering. You're doing those little things right there. I'm not overly concerned. Now we have the college basketball's tipping off next week. Like, I can't believe it. The 4th already. We're going to see the Badgers taking on Holy Cross. Like, it is crazy how fast college basketball is back. I'm excited. I'm ready to watch some Badger. When they play that game against Holy Cross, and if please, I mean, knock on wood that they don't lose that game to Holy Cross. But if they lose that game to Holy Cross, okay, now we can start freaking out, right? Now we can start freaking out. I tell you what, Badger fans out there, I am the person that if you want to hear somebody freak out about a Badger loss, you come to me, okay? I went on a tangent last year about Greg Gard and why he needed to be fired after the game against Nebraska, which was towards the middle of the season. I went on a tangent after that. And they went on, they rattled off some wins. They made it into the postseason. They lost first round, right? It seems like they love to do that, the first round exit. But I went on that tangent. So if you want somebody to freak out, I'll freak out about the Badgers loss, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. This was exhibition. They won the game. We saw some good. We saw some ugly. We move on from it, right? So I just want to move on from that game. We're going to get more into the Badgers. I want to talk about this first game against Holy Cross on Sunday here on the show. So when we're going to have our recap of the weekend show. We'll talk about the Badgers' upcoming game with Holy Cross then. Can't wait for that matchup. Can't wait for Badger basketball to be back. Aaron he's a kind of a basketball fan, but he's hit or miss. Penn State doesn't have a great basketball program most of the time, so he doesn't get fully into it there.
Yeah, I got to lean into my guys at Villanova just because it's like Penn State doesn't even make the tournament. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be a bandwagon, but it's like when you don't even have a horse in the race, like what am I supposed to root? Excuse me. You're having a frog in your throat. I'm having voice cracks at 28. So, I mean, it's just things are not going as planned. But,
they say sometimes it takes until you're in your 20s to finally let them drop.
It might take me till I'm in my 40s. It might. We'll wait and see on that one. But, I mean, as much as, I do like the college. I mean, I love college atmosphere, right? Even college basketball has a different atmosphere. As much as I used to be an NBA guy, but I'll definitely pay attention. Like, I'll still root that Penn State is competitive, but I mean, I think it was a season ago, like they were pretty decent, like a year or two ago, and then their coach leaves. Like Penn State's literally like a stepping. As soon as you have a good season there, coach is out the door. Like no one stays for an extended period of time ever. So that's just the way they don't. It just feels like they don't care a whole lot about basketball with the Nittany Lions. But yeah, I know Wisconsin's usually a pretty decent school, a respectable school for sure in the college basketball landscape. So I'm going to try and keep up with them this year as much as I can there. And I mean, I haven't looked at it, Trajan. It's the top 25 kind of like, it's different than the top 25 in football. I guess it's the normal, the normal suspects in football usually in the top 25. Is it looking like that for college football? College basketball, I should say.
It's looking, eerily similar to what we normally see. I was just pulling it up here. The preseason ranking, Kansas up on top. And then you see Alabama, UConn, Houston, Iowa State, Gonzaga, Duke, Baylor, North Carolina, like your blue bloods in there. The only surprising one, I guess not super surprising. We'll see, Cincinnati's in there at 20. That's, we'll see what happens there. Just looking down here, Rutgers down there at the 25 spot. Let's see. Other teams receive. Wisconsin got 5 votes to get in the top 25. A bunch of jagoffs in there not voting for the Badgers. Like, whatever.
Man,
whatever. That's fine.
And now it's like, is Indiana a two-sport force? Because, I mean, I know they're usually good in basketball. Like that, you think about Bobby Knight, the Hoosiers, all that. But, like, sitting there at 17, like, they're usually I know Maryland's usually pretty good, not ranked this year. It's kind of surprising. Or I shouldn't say surprising because, like I said, I don't know too much, but
Maryland's always hit or miss. They had their years with Tremble in there. Indiana got a lot of recruits, right? They've been fantastic getting recruits, and that's what's changed a lot of the. I mean, we're talking about college football. We always talk about college football and, transfer portal changing the landscape. It's changed the landscape of college basketball. I mean, Indiana grabs Ballo from down there at Arizona. He's been fantastic. He's now heading to Indiana. It just makes, program turnovers easier. Right. And especially with this basketball, I mean, you look at the Badgers, and I just talked about them getting 5 votes. They just lost Chucky Hepburn. They lost Tyler Wall. They lose AJ Storr. All them guys leave in the offseason there. Wall was due to graduation, but Chucky's now at Louisville, which Louisville, they didn't get. I was looking for Louisville there. They got 4 votes to get in the top 25. They're expected to be a great team this next year. So wait and see, right? Wait and see with that one. I've seen Chucky Hepburn play good, and I've seen him play bad. So I don't know what we'll get out of him. Now that he left Wisconsin, I don't care what he does, right? He can suck for all I care. Yeah, he can suck. Like that'd be okay with me there. And then, we see Kansas down there. I believe AJ Storr, yep, he's with Kansas now. So AJ Storr leaves Madison. He heads to Kansas. Now he's the number 1 team in the nation now. So it just makes that landscape. So it's odd. It's so odd. Now you have Duke though. I mean, Duke had a fantastic recruiting class. Like you're talking Cooper Flags coming in there, and he could be one of the best players we've seen in college basketball in a long time. So, I mean, just the turnover, right? Just the turnover of players has definitely changed that landscape around. And it's going to be interesting now to see who is your, perennial powerhouses, right? I think that whole thing has changed now because you have UConn, right? UConn seems to be flipping people in and out every single year. They adding in the transfer portal. It's taken away what Wisconsin was, right? The developmental program. They're trying to build guys up. And, that was what Bo Ryan was so great at, is you didn't play your freshman year. You didn't play as a sophomore most of the time. Your junior, senior year, that's when we saw you get into there. In your 3rd and 4th year, that's when we saw you fully, come into a game and be that guy. And he didn't really go into those freshmen. But now we're seeing a lot of freshmen playing, even in Wisconsin. We're seeing a lot of different aspects, I guess, now. So it's definitely going to be an interesting season. I can't wait for a tip off here. We're going to be talking college basketball come Sunday here on the show. So make sure you guys, anybody out there, if you want to talk college basketball with us, make sure you're tuning in on Sunday there on the show. We're definitely going to get into it there. But Aaron, let's jump over Badger football, looking to bounce back down in Iowa. Not a great place to try and bounce back from a loss down in Iowa City, but they're going down to Iowa, playing for the Heartland Trophy. It's on the line there down in Iowa. Man, oh man. I mean, does Penn State, do they have any of, like, the Badgers have the Paul Bunyan's axe. They have the Heartland Trophy. Is there any trophy that, Penn State plays for, like between them and another, program?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to bring up it's Penn State, Michigan State, land grant trophy. So that's like every.
Is it cool looking? Is it cool looking?
It is cool. It's BA as the kids. I don't even think the kids say that anymore, but yeah, the land grant. I'll try and shoot you over a picture though. It's like a shrine. Like it's like a freaking, like it's obnoxiously big, right? Like for what reason I don't really know, but yeah, the land grant. That's the only one that comes to mind for me. They play them every year, even with this like expanded Big Ten thing. I mean, it'll be weird to see like if Penn State doesn't play. I don't know their schedules outside of this coming season, but like it's always like the last week of the season. We either
that is a big trophy. That is definitely a massive like trophy. Holy crap!
It's like, and whoever went, like when Penn State wins it, they have the Nittany Lion on it. When Michigan State has it, like they have their own. It's just like it's like why? But I mean, it's cool, right? Like you talk about Wisconsin and Iowa and like having that's what makes college football such a great thing, in my opinion, just because it's like there's just all these little like, oh, there's the tradition of this. Oh, you get this trophy. Oh, the Red River rivalry. Like there's so many things, right? And I mean, yeah, you'll be interested, I'm sure, to see how the Iowa defense, lines up against this Wisconsin offense. Are they going to make, Locke kind of try and beat him again? Is that like the recipe that you want if you're an Iowa fan? I don't know, but that'll be what I'm interested to see in that matchup. Night game too, under the lights.
I know, another night game on NBC. I'm sick of them already. I didn't watch it on NBC. I was down at the Badger Penn State game, but I'm sick of those night games already if I'm a Badger fan, but that's okay. That's good for, I guess, I don't know. Is it good for viewership? I have no idea. Like, is that a good thing that the Badgers are playing at 6:30?
I feel like there's more. I mean, you go to every restaurant and bar in the country and stuff like that. They got that game on because it's, any of the night games are going to be where like, they might get skipped over on a 1 o'clock, versus like a Penn State, Ohio State versus a USC, whoever, like, it just, they might be forgotten about a little bit. So yeah, I see it as a good thing. I totally had a mishap there. I was reading the schedule, but Iowa plays now back-to-back night games because they'll play UCLA next Friday night, which is even – I'd like to see, like, personally, for Penn State play a Friday night. Like, I'm cool with that. Why not? Like,
we played a Friday night to open up the seat. It was odd. It's odd.
That's cool,
it's just
though. It's
odd. Like you're sitting there on a Friday and you're like, getting off of work or whatever, and you're like, oh crap, that's right, Badgers play tonight. Like it's just odd. You're so used to Saturdays, and like it's weird. It's different, right? Usually the not so good games are on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays during the week for college football. And then Saturdays are your big games. And it's like, okay, now that we're on a Friday, do we suck? Like, are you telling us that we suck, that you're putting us on a Friday? I don't know. But I mean, it's good. It's good to kind of spread games out. Like you said, get more eyes on the game. Get more eyes on them. Hopefully the Badgers show out with all them eyes on them. And like you said, you mentioned it straight off the bat, and that's a big point. What does Iowa do defensively? Do they try to force the issue, bring the heat on Brayden Locke, and try to make mistakes out of him? I think so. Like, I'm doing that, right? I'm doing that in this game. And that's what Wisconsin, for me, they have to show me in this game, is that offensive line for the Badgers, because against Penn State had their way. Like, that was Penn State's. They brought 4. It's not like they were bringing 5. They were bringing 4 at times, and they were still owning Wisconsin's offensive line. So I'm looking at this game, and I'm like, okay, it's one of those games where Iowa, they want this game to be sloppy. They want this game to be a dogfight. They're not going to beat you like Penn State did. I mean, that game got sloppy against Penn State too. And you know what? Honestly, that's what made it even seem like it was more in the Badgers' favor, was that it was a sloppy game. It was one of those dogfights like Iowa loves to play in when they pull off upsets. So that's what Iowa wants. You're coming to their house. They want a sloppy, low-scoring dogfight game, and that's what they want to see here. So you got to look at the offensive line for Wisconsin. You're like, okay, you guys got to figure it out here. I don't know what needs to happen with you 5 here, but you guys got to figure it out, because we got to give Tyree Walker someplace to run. We got to give Brayden Locke time to get, because Locke against Penn State, yes, he made good throws at times, but he also made those dangerous throws. And part of that could be, being comfortable in the pocket, taking your time in the pocket, having the ability to do your reads in the pocket. It's those little things for a quarterback, giving Locke that kind of time. We're looking for Brayden Locke in this one to bounce back. Avoid the turnovers. We haven't seen a game out of Brayden Locke where he hasn't thrown a pick so far, right? So we got to see Brayden Locke avoid those turnovers in this game against Iowa, because you're talking about a stingy defense. They're trying to turn you over. They have to do that. I mean, they have to do those little things on defense because their offense does struggle to throw the football. They're looking to turn you over with plus territory to make things happen. So Wisconsin needs to win the turnover battle, be careful with the football, find ways for that offensive line to exploit what Iowa is going to try and do, which I think, like you said, and like I'm thinking, is put pressure on Brayden Locke in this one. And if you're Phil Longo in this game, you have to find ways to be creative with that offense. You can't be just trying to run it straight up the gut. You can't be doing this little inside zone crap where Taijuan Walker lines up on the right side and he's running left. And if he lines up on the left side, he's running right. You gotta get creative. Do some crazy things with your playbook. Involve Trek. Involve guys like Vinny Anthony in the run game, on pitches, whatever it is, jet sweeps, those little things that try and spread out the defense to open up that middle. Because right now, the biggest problem with Wisconsin football in the past was if you wanted to beat Wisconsin, load the box. Just load the box. They're running right at you. Just load the box. What are teams doing to the Wisconsin Badgers right now? Loading the box. They're waiting for you. That's what they want. They want you to try and run it straight ahead. If you pass, they just drop into coverage. But if you run, they have 8 guys standing there waiting for you. You got to open up that playbook a little bit and get kind of creative with this one. You're 5-3 now. You're 5-3. The schedule for the Wisconsin Badgers, you have Iowa this week. You have, I believe, a bye. I was just going to check that. You have Iowa. You have a bye, and then you take on Oregon, right? So, I don't like that. I don't like that one. And then you have Nebraska on the road in Nebraska. That's tough, right? Nebraska at home, I'd be like, I'm not as scared of them. But Nebraska on the road, I don't like that. And then you have Minnesota at home, but guess what? That's for the Axe. Minnesota brings a different kind of energy. PJ Fleck, he doesn't sleep right if he doesn't win that game against Wisconsin. He doesn't sleep right. Like, when he beats Wisconsin for that Paul Bunyan's Axe, that dude sleeps for like 3 days straight. Like, he is just like all about it, having a great time, right? So, this stretch right here, Iowa, I believe this Iowa game is huge. I believe this Iowa game is massive for the Wisconsin Badgers because if you don't get right in this game, like, I don't care. Like, you're going to play Oregon. You're most likely going to get your teeth knocked in. Like, that's Oregon. Like, that's a different dog right now. They might be one of the, if not the best team, one of the best teams in the country, right? If you don't play well against Iowa and you go and just get completely massacred, at home against Oregon, that Nebraska game is scary. Because you're still not bowl eligible, right? If you don't beat Iowa, you're not bowl eligible. If you lose to Oregon, you're still not bowl eligible. Then you have 2 games with Nebraska and Minnesota to try and get yourself into bowl eligibility. And you just got, beat by Iowa and your doors knocked in by Oregon. I'm not feeling great heading to Nebraska. So this is a game where the Badgers, even if you lose, which I pray they don't, knock on wood, I'm hoping for a big win here. You get right? You got to get right in this game. You got to make it look good in this game. Brayden Locke has got to get more comfortable in that pocket because right now we're operating with a quarterback who looks like he's pissing his pants every time he snaps the football. Like, he does not look comfortable in that pocket. Bo came into that game from Penn State there and, first snap, drops it, fumbles it, right? And he just looks nervous. But then all of a sudden, it just seems like he settled into the game. He got settled in and everything was fine. Brayden Locke has not settled into a football game yet. Yes, he does make some good throws at times. He makes some good throws. But, these arid throws, these dangerous throws, the questionable throws where you're looking at him like, dude, how did you not see him? If everybody in the world saw him standing there, how did you not see him when he was right in front of your face? And then after the game to find out that he did see him. Okay, that's a problem. That's a problem if you're still trying to make that throw, if you saw that guy standing there. So just a lot of issues in that aspect there. But, the biggest thing, outside of that too, Iowa's special teams. Iowa's special teams, not bad. They have a pretty good kick returner there. They're going to try to flip fields like that. Get after you in that aspect, try to set up their run game. And that's also, holy crap, Ola, talking about this running back for Iowa there, Johnson. He's got over 1,000 yards on the season already, 1,144 yards on the season, 16 touchdowns on 146 carries. That's a dog, right? That's a dog. So the Badgers front 4, which can't create pressure and can't get after a guy, they're going to have to find ways in this game to create pressure and to get after that run game because otherwise this game could become ugly and it could be a running battle. And Iowa's got the dogs up front to make that thing happen. You have a backup quarterback in there in Brendan Sullivan because McNam, I always mess up his name there. Cade, right?
Cade McNamara. Yeah. Totally forgot about it. Like, because of the Michigan day, like he has faded into like,
yes,
nobody thinks of that guy. He's just completely faded off the map as far as
Oh, he
relevancy.
struggled too. I mean,
Yeah.
6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Well, you're playing for Iowa. You don't have a lot of playmakers on that team too, but you have a backup quarterback in there. You have to find ways to make pressure. You have to find ways to pressure him into making dangerous throws, just like Iowa is going to try and do against Brayden Locke. You have to find ways to do that in this game. So, I mean, Aaron, outside looking in, Penn State guy, you're watching this, you're looking at this game right now. What are you looking at? You're like, the Badgers got to do this to try and win this game against Iowa.
Yeah, I mean that's where it is a little concerning. I was kind of pulling up, stats here and there. Iowa, let's just go Iowa offense real quick. Yards per rush, they're 9th in the nation. I mean, the rushing yards per game, 17th in the nation. So like they're a stout, that's what they do. Like they compare to Wisconsin in the fact that they never really have like that elite quarterback. They have a good defense. Like it's Big Ten football, right? Both those teams play how you would think Big Ten football teams play. It's not like the USC's way of playing. Like it's grind it out, good defense. I think if you're Wisconsin in this game, like you just hope you stop their run, right? Or not even stop it, but like keep it manageable. Like as far as the passing game, things like that, I wouldn't fear that too much. I mean, if they beat you in the passing game, I'm not gonna say tip your cap because it's like if you're Wisconsin, you don't want to tip your cap. Like you want to win this game. This isn't one of those like they're the better team through and through. Like I think Wisconsin has a great shot. Like this is almost like dead even in some respects. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try and pull up some more stuff on this, but I mean, yeah, like I said, if you're Wisconsin, I mean, you look for Brayden Locke to have a clean game. Now, this isn't like like you said, this isn't the best game to kind of bounce back to have that because Wisconsin or Iowa's defense is relentless. Like they just every year it's like death taxes and Iowa's defense is solid. Like that's how it is. But I mean, yeah, it might be one of those games where you have to grind it out. I mean, I have confidence that Wisconsin can play good enough defense. I've seen it now, against Penn State. I saw it against USC, even to a good degree. Like their defense isn't bad. It's not like atrocious. Now, you're not playing a great offense either, so that kind of goes into hand in hand there. But if you can control the running game, this is a winnable game. I don't think it's going to be easy by any stretch. I don't see that. It's never, a cakewalk with them, especially, in their building. That's another place that goes bonkers at times. So, yeah, I mean, if you're Wisconsin, kind of just get Brayden Locke in a rhythm early, I think is key because he can become unglued at any time. It's just like get him at least some confidence to play with because if they go out there, go 3 and out, punt it to Iowa punts it back. They go 3 and out again. That's when I worry, like, okay, he's going to throw a pick now because it's like he can't find it. He's going to force it, that type of thing. So, I mean, I like these type of games, though, the Big Ten. I mean, hopefully we get some snow games eventually here, getting into November. But, like, these are, like, the games where it's, like, mano y mano type of, like, just brute force versus brute force on offensive line, defensive line, just monsters going at it, really.
This one might end up like 16 to like 12. Like that could be the final score of this one. It's going to be a Big Ten dogfight this is one of them battles. This is one of them battles of two teams that are just relentless on both sides of football. And it's going to be low scoring, right? It's going to be low scoring. I got that feeling with this one. So, I mean, good thing we got a good punter though. Bertram's has been fantastic. He pulled off that fake punt against Penn State there, right? A dog. He's a dog now. He's taking snaps in the backfield.
Trust me.
Like he's that kind of dog. He's that kind of dog. I don't know what to tell you. So maybe they'll pull off a fake punt against Iowa. We'll find out. We'll find out here. It should be a good one there. Iowa, Wisconsin. Aaron, real quick, what do we got for the pick in this one? I'm going to take Wisconsin 24 to give me 24 to like 17. Give me 24 to 17. Wisconsin wins this game.
Okay. Wow. This is I was trying to find a straight up. I should have just went on DraftKings, but money which Iowa is picked to win.
Oh yeah.
3-point favorite. Yeah, I mean that's close, right? That's over under 41.5. I mean, I'm not gonna say you could book under, but I'd lean to go under there. This is tough. This is really. I mean, I have confidence in some things. Wisconsin can do. I think they're not a bad 5-3 team. Like you can go across the country and find bad 5-3 teams, which I don't think they are. But I can also say the same thing for Iowa. Like they're so comparable. I guess give me Wisconsin.
There we go.
In a very close one, right? I think this is like, let's go 2017 Wisconsin. Stays under. You're at 37, so over under is 41. Close game, fourth quarter. Like just you don't know who's gonna win, and then Wisconsin like finds a way. But the more I talk about this game, I am intrigued because like I just like I love the Big Ten. Whatever.
This is old. This is going to be old fashioned Big Ten. This is going to be no real slinging and that's going to be something if Wisconsin tries to blow off an explosive play, if they try to send Vinny or CJ Williams over the top there, and then maybe Brayden Locke gets her down there. That's going to be one of those things too, is Wisconsin, they have that ability to try and blow the top off a defense. They didn't do it enough against Penn State. Let's see, we're talking creative plays from Phil Longo heading into this one. Let's see what they kind of dial up there. So Aaron, I mean, outside of that, there's there's one other, I guess, big game. Well, I shouldn't say there's one other, right? There's a massive game coming up this weekend. Pitt and SMU coming up, right? That's the massive game of the weekend. Then we got one that isn't so much massive. So we got Pitt SMU. Right now, SMU is favored by 7 in that game. That game is going to be in Dallas, Texas. What do we got? Real quick, SMU Pitt. I'm going to take SMU to cover that spread. I think they're going to win that game against Pitt at home. I like that one.
Yeah, I think this is where, like, oh my goodness, you talk about a fan base that's relentless is Pitt. They literally think they're Alabama or something when they're good. Like it's just I don't understand it for the life of me. But yeah, I think SMU better team. I think they've played better competition as well, in my opinion. Just kind of breezing through. Only loss was to that BYU team that's 9th in the nation by a field goal. So. I mean, yeah, give me SMU. I mean, I think this is SMU's shot to kind of get back on the map, in front of the whole, with a lot of eyeballs on them. And I mean, yeah, I don't think Pitt will, give them they'll give them a run, but I think SMU will pull away and easily cover the spread, like 10. I think they'll win by 10.
I like that. There. There's a couple other interesting. Clemson, Louisville could be a good game there. Clemson's favored by 10 right now. And then we see Oregon and Michigan squaring off. That's going to be in Ann Arbor. Michigan's got a decent enough defense. Now, the offense stinks, so they ain't going to be able to sling with them there. But they got a decent enough defense there. That could make that matchup enticing. We got Air Force and Army, right? 2 battles of the that's going to be in West Point. That's going to be in West Point for that one. Army looking to move to 8-0, move up in the rankings. Got to love that. They're sad to see Navy go down last week to Notre Dame. That wasn't even going down. That ship sank fast. That ship sank real fast. Like that was over with. But Aaron, the biggest game of the weekend includes your Penn State Nittany Lions. It probably should have been the night game. I still don't understand why they do this to me, but the big noon kickoff will be there. We have Penn State, Ohio State, number 3 in the country, taking on number 4 in the country there, coming up to us from Beaver Stadium there and University Park, Pennsylvania. Ohio State's favored by 3. Aaron, in 30 seconds, tell me why Penn State's going to win this game.
I think they'll get after Will Howard enough to force him to make mistakes. I think the running game will finally become very effective again with Nick Singleton. I don't think Singleton was good for that Wisconsin game. I'm hoping he's at least like 80%. He just doesn't seem like it. This happens almost every year, but him and Katron Allen, and then you hope Drew Allar's like good enough, right? That's the other thing with this too, is like he's starting, but I think just the second half, it's going to come down to the second half. I think again, can they make the adjustments against a really good Ohio State team? I'd love to see Ohio State with 2 losses. I mean, not only, Penn State win, but then Ohio State has 2 losses, which is even better. But I never feel good about this game ever. But it's here. I hate to make it sound like this, but even if Penn State loses, it's not the end of the world because they, found a way to beat Wisconsin. If they lost Wisconsin and now lose this game, then they're in real deep trouble. But I personally would have liked to see them lose to Wisconsin and win the Ohio State if it was up to me. But
yeah,
hopefully they find a way. It's gonna be it's never even remotely easy. It takes like all the stars to align and basically a miracle and like a Hail Mary almost. But we'll see. That's why they line them up. And they have a good chance. It's just, can they execute against a team like that? That's really the question.
I was really hoping for a night game because I wanted to see a whiteout. Like, to be honest with you, I want to see a
against
whiteout
Washington. Yeah, why?
Yeah. I wanted to see a whiteout against Ohio State. Like, that's just the atmosphere that you want to have built up for that game. But I mean, the odd part about Penn State, we talked about how much they owned Wisconsin's offensive line last week. They didn't have a sack. Like, that was odd to me. As much as they owned Wisconsin, their run defense was fantastic. But you look at the pass rush, Brayden Locke had time to throw the football. It's not like he didn't have time. Yes, they were barreling down on him. They always are, right? But he had time to throw the football. Nobody got home, right? So that's a big thing, like you were keying in on there, is getting to Will Howard, but taking him down, getting him down, put him on his backside a couple times, make him respect you. That's going to change the offensive scheming then for Ohio State too, is what they can do because Penn State's coming so hot and heavy there. So that's going to be a storyline there too, is how much, this great front for Penn State creating pass rush and getting home. They create pass rush fine. Now it's getting home there. That's what we got to see in this one. So should be a great one there. Penn State, Ohio State. That'll be an 11 o'clock kickoff on Fox come Saturday there. Can't wait for that one. Not much else really happening in the world of college. I mean, there's games, right? But not really any ones we want to dive into deep there. We see Indiana and Michigan State in the Big Ten there. Indiana looking to move to 9-0. We love that. I want to see it, right? I'm not a huge Indiana fan. Like, I don't care if they go, undefeated, go to the college football playoff, but I think it'd be cool. And it'd be good for the sport, right? To see a team like Indiana where they weren't a good football team. And now it's like, holy crap, they have the ability to go to 9-0, set up a very good matchup there with Ohio State coming up in, I believe, a couple weeks here. They have Michigan State, then Michigan, and then they'll take on Ohio State there on the 23rd of November. So, I mean, if that game comes down to two, like you just said, Ohio State's got 2 losses. If they lose that game to Penn State, and then you have Indiana rolling into town undefeated, like, that is going to be an electric atmosphere for that one. So I can't wait for that game there. But that's about all we got college football-wise. That's about all we got. Aaron, before we get to the Packers, let's get our fact of the day. What do we got on this day? What's our fact?
Now, can I give you at least the option here? One is sports related, but kind of sad. Oh, not kind of sad. It is sad. And then the other, what was the other one here? Let me see. Oh, the other one has to do with a movie. So do you want to hear the sports one that's a bit of a downer, or do we go with the movie fact?
Like, are we talking downer like the Brewers losing in the playoffs, or are we talking downer like somebody died?
Someone did die. I mean, it's a team you don't like, but it's a guy that pretty much everybody loved. I'll put it that way.
All right. We can go with the sports one.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of my favorite athletes ever. Walter Payton died on this day in 1999. So talking 25 years ago at this point already.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the best ever. I mean, he's my favorite running back of all time. And of cancer on top of it. Like, that just sucks all the way around. So yeah, rest in peace to the great Walter Payton. That guy was just special, obviously, Hall of Famer. So unfortunately, but in this day in 1999.
No, here's Hunter coming in the comment section there. He says Brewers losing in the playoffs is like Christmas morning.
Wow.
The Cardinals making the playoffs is few and far between nowadays, my friend. The Cardinals actually awesome, making the playoffs. Come on now. But yes,
sweetness. I forgot that. Yeah.
I can't hate on Walter Payton, right? You have those teams that you hate, right?
Walter Payton, man of the year,
But
right?
yeah,
Like,
he was. I mean, Walton Payton was a different kind of guy, right? He was a different kind of guy, different kind of athlete out there. You just couldn't hate on the guy. You couldn't hate the guy, right? And yes, if you're a Packer fan out there, now see that was before my time too, so I can't exactly just hate on him because I never had to see him like tear my Packers apart or something there. But I mean, you're sitting there, you're like, if he's tearing the Packers apart, okay, I'd hate him on the field because he's beating up on the Packers, but off the field, I'm like, that's a good dude. That's a good dude right there. So, I mean, it's like Freddie Freeman, right? Freddie Freeman, I dislike him when he's beating up on my Brewers, but at the same time, when he's not beating up on my Brewers, I'm like, this is an all-around great guy. This is an all-around great guy there. So, let's get into a little bit of Packers here. We got Packers, Lions, NFC North battle coming up on Sunday. Xavier McKinney, he had a quote coming into this game. I just wanted to read that off here. He said, they like to embarrass people. The players we have here, they don't take that really lightly. That's what Xavier McKinney had to say about that Detroit Lions team. And that adds a little bit of, I don't know, does it add some spice? Does it add a little bit of spice into that matchup there? You got, Xavier McKinney's on the back end of that defense there. He's like, we don't like that. We don't like the way you guys play. We don't like the way you guys roll things over there. They like to embarrass teams, like he said. Now, the Dallas thing down in Dallas where they completely just obliterated the Cowboys, that was because of last season there. Dan Campbell came into this season. He's like, I got a list. He's like, I got a list of teams this season. We're like circling this one on the calendar. I really wonder, I'll be honest with you, and I heard this on Bill Michaels was talking about it on the radio here in Wisconsin, and he said, I wonder if Dan Campbell is circling this game and saying the Packers embarrassed us on Thanksgiving last season where we had millions of people watching that game, and they watched us get embarrassed. Is this a game that they have circled on that calendar? Because then we know this Lions team is coming out like dogs. Now, what is in the Packers' favor? Jared Goff sucks outside, which seems odd, right? You would think that a guy, he couldn't just suck that bad outside, but he sucks outside. And the Lions haven't played a game outdoors yet. They're heading into Lambeau. It's supposed to be rainy. It's supposed to be cold. Does that play into the Packers' favor? What are you thinking on that one, Aaron? I mean, if you want things to go your way, the weather finally in the state of Wisconsin might be helping out the Green Bay Packers a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, to go to your first point, I'll say, I mean, probably Dan Campbell is the type of guy where it's like, if somebody looks at him wrong, he's going to want to like destroy, like he's just that guy. And like, that's what you love about Dan Campbell. Like if I'm a Lions fan, I'm like, finally, I'm kind of yelling to the high heavens that we have a coach that like, finds a way to motivate his guys. Like they always seem like they're ready to, I mean, yeah, they'll get blown out here and there, but what NFL team doesn't at times? It just seems like that Dallas game for sure was like a, circle it on the calendar. Let's blow them out. Like see what they did to us last year. Or, basically we get screwed by the refs. So like it was a whole thing. And then Green Bay, I mean, that kind of goes without saying, like that's a divisional rivalry. Now I'm not huge on running up the score in the NFL because it's not like college. You're not going to move up the ranking system where, if Penn State goes out and plays, Ball State and only wins by 7, that might actually hurt them. Like you want to go out there and beat them by 50, right? That's just how it is. Yep. But the NFL, like when the Patriots had that undefeated season, I remember they were throwing up like 60 burgers on people. I'm like, dude, give me a break. Like I get it. You're great. You can just go down the field at will. But like if for what I don't see it ever being, not ever, but I don't see this game being a blowout. But if the Lions went out and we're like 3 touchdowns ahead, right? And we're going to keep just throwing bombs down the field. If I'm a Green Bay fan, I'd be like, dude, for lack of better words, F you, man. Like that's crazy talk. Like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I look at it as Dan Campbell will probably try and do that. And I don't necessarily love that. I think to your last question there, the weather will play a factor as far as helping the like I trust, like you said, Jared Goff's never been good. He played in SoFi and now he's playing, for, in an indoor stadium there in Detroit. So give me the Packers who have been there, done that. Like they play outside in the freezing rain, snow, sleet, doesn't matter. So if weather is a factor, yeah, definitely give the Packers the advantage. And it's detrimental to what Detroit wants to do with Jared Goff. And at that point, you're going to have to rely on the running game. And then Green Bay knows that. So all things point to Green Bay having success if that presents itself.
And a big thing is going to be the injury talk, right? The big thing is going to be the injury talk there in Green Bay. Does Jordan Love play? Does, Jair Alexander did not practice all week. So if all indications are there, he's listed as questionable for the game, but did not practice all week. You're kind of thinking probably not going to see, Jair Alexander out there. You look at guys like Josh Myers, did not practice all week. The center there for the Green Bay Packers, he's doubtful for the game. You have Evan Williams. He did not practice. One of the best safeties in football there, the rookie for the Green Bay Packers. He's not going to play on Sunday there. Jordan Love's the big one, right? Questionable for Sunday's game. He was limited the last 2 days, but I mean, there's a good chance he doesn't play in this one. Josh Jacobs has been limited at practice. Yeah, it's like I look through this. You know what, when you're a kid and your parents would leave you alone for the day, but they don't want you to get bored. So they make you that big list of chores for you to do that day, like vacuum the carpet, vacuum the ceiling off, like the most random things in the world. But the list is like, 3 pages long. I'm looking at this Packers injury report and I'm like, this is getting longer and longer day by day. Like, I don't like this. I don't like my chore list. I don't like this injury report for the Green Bay Packers, but you live with it, right? You live with it there. The Lions, they're getting a little bit better. Jared Goff did not practice on Wednesday, but he was full go the rest of the week. They have a couple guys out. Martin Pascal's out. Rodriguez is out. They have Vaki and Wingo both doubtful for this game. Outside of that, everybody else is back. So the Lions will be relatively at full strength. Now, you mentioned before, as Hunter, he said, as a Bears team, so he's a Bears fan out there, he says, I'm scared of them to face that Green Bay Packers defense, right? I mean, this is where, okay, you just talked about Dan Campbell. He wants to embarrass Green Bay, right? They just embarrassed him last year on Thanksgiving. He has this one circled on the calendar. He's ready to head into this game, right? My thing with that is the Packers are a very they take opportunities to turn teams over when they can, right? They lead the NFL in takeaways. So if Dan Campbell tries to get all crazy, right? He tries to throw these special plays in there where all of a sudden Amon-Ra St. Brown's throwing the football, or, we see one of these other guys out there throwing the football for him. If he tries to get crazy with it and the Packers stay disciplined, they don't bite, they stay disciplined on those. Can they force turnovers in this game? I think turnovers will be a big key in this game. Packers limiting turnovers, right? They have to basically eliminate them turnovers, especially if you have a guy like Malik Willis starting in this game. And then on the flip side of that, the Packers defense taking the ball away from the Lions there. You talk about takeaways, time of possession too. I think that's going to be a big thing for me is time of possession in this one. Keep that explosive offense for the Detroit Lions on the sideline as long as you possibly can. Malik Willis, if he's in there with Josh Jacobs and those, the offensive line relatively healthy outside of, I believe, like I said, Josh Myers there. Elton Jenkins he was limited at practice this week, but I believe he's going to play on this one. Rasheed Walker was limited. I believe he's going to play. He's actually probably, thanking God right now, because Rasheed Walker would be lined up with Aiden Hutchinson, and Hutchinson's going to be out for this game. So he's probably like, thank you. I don't have to deal with that guy this week, because otherwise he's got a whole nother level of pressure coming into Sunday's game there. But with Malik Willis, with that, you got to find ways to keep the offense on the field. No 3 and outs, no, quick drives, get yourself in a field goal range, take care of business down there. You get into the red zone, score. Those little things like time of possession that I think are going to come up big for the Green Bay Packers in this one, because you don't want Jared Goff on the field for an extended period of time. You don't want, those sustained drives. You don't want those kinds of things in this one, because otherwise, if the Packers lose time of possession in this game, I got a bad feeling we're looking at the scoreboard and we're like, that's an L. That's an L right there. Like, you got to win time of possession if you are the Green Bay Packers in this one. And that's going to be a lot of, like I just mentioned there, Josh Jacobs getting going in the run game. The offensive line for the Green Bay Packers is kind of staving off that good defensive front there from the Lions there, kind of keeping them at bay in this one, controlling the trenches. It's going to be big on both sides, right? The Lions offensive line trying to open up running lanes for Montgomery and Gibbs. Same with the Packers in this one. It's going to be opening up running lanes for Josh Jacobs there and giving Malik Willis time to make throws when he can there. But third downs are going to be huge. Third downs, the Lions are actually the number 1 defense on third downs. The Packers are number 8 on the season there. So when you get to third down, can you convert that third down? That's what you're watching for in this one, is if the Packers are able to convert that third down. And that's going to be, like I was just talking there with Josh Jacobs, setting yourself up with third and manageable, right? You're talking about the number 1 third down defense. You don't want 3rd and 8s. You can't handle 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 7s. You need to see some 3rd and 1. You need to see some 3rd and 2. You got to get those kinds of situations in there. So, I mean, Aaron, looking at this game here, what are some of the things you're watching for Green Bay wise to, the Packers got to exploit, or they got to do this in this game to try and pull off a win here, where it could be an upset win if you're starting guys like Malik Willis out there and you're missing some of your key guys on your defense?
Oh yeah, right. I mean, the thing is, like, can Josh Jacobs be effective like that? That's the biggest thing to me, especially with, like, let's say Jordan Love doesn't play. Like, you have to have Josh Jacobs basically to be, effective, to be, just kind of game altering is what you look for. I mean, looking at like all the games the Lions have played so far, I mean, outside of the Bucks and they only have, let me see here. Yeah, I mean, outside of the Bucks, who, let's see what they did well again. I mean, they didn't. Godwin went off, so maybe you just need one guy, not even one guy. Green Bay is by committee as far as their wide receiver, but just kind of spread the ball, like just kind of keep them guessing, right? I think if you that's the thing with Malik Willis, they'll kind of handcuff the playbook to a certain degree, which I don't necessarily blame him for doing that. It's just I kind of want to see him, even if he's in there, still run some trickeration as far as motion. There's this guy going this way, like you if it doesn't get too predictable, I still think Green Bay has a chance with Malik Willis under center there. So I just look at it like you can't let go, because I mean Detroit can put up points at will. I mean they put up, albeit against some not fantastic teams. You talk about the Titans, but the Titans have a decent defense. Like that's really the only thing they have going for them right now, and they threw up a 52 spot on them. And Jared Goff only threw for 85 yards. So, like, that shows you, I mean, between Jahmyr Gibbs and the offensive line, like, of the Lions there, I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I like it. The fact that it's in Green Bay, I mean, this is one of those, like, it reminds me of kind of Eagles-Cowboys as far as, like, for me, they'll probably split the two games. Like, I see Green Bay winning this one. If Jordan Love's in there, I give him a lot better of a chance. But even with Malik Willis, who's been solid enough, maybe when they go to Detroit, they drop that one. It's like you're splitting hairs. I think Detroit's become a very good team, but obviously so are the Packers. I don't know. I mean, I think you can make the case that LaFleur has the coaching advantage. I like his decision making more than Dan Campbell, but Dan Campbell as a motivator might be the best motivator in the NFL. This is, if I'm Green Bay, like I said, just don't get predictable in the offense. And I think you'll be able to hang. And regardless, it's a division game. Very rarely do you see a division game getting like out of hand or just like a complete blowout in any way.
And hanging in this one's going to be a lot on the defense making tackles, right? Not letting guys slip off of tackles. That's something we saw against Jacksonville where the Packers struggled just making tackles. So in this one here, I mean, you're talking about a Lions team who, according to PFF, their tackle rating on the season, so that's grade for tackling, right? They have grades for everything. They're 7th in the league right now in tackling, but you look at the Green Bay Packers, they're down there at 22nd in all of football in tackling. That's just, it seems like such a simple thing, right? It seems like a simple thing, but making the tackle, gang tackling, all those little things that we got to see from the Green Bay Packers this one. The Lions, they're number 2 in pass rush. So yeah, it tells you everything you need to know. The Packers offensive line is going to have to win in the trenches in this game. Give Malik Willis time. You're talking about opening up that playbook. If you want to open up that playbook, it's going to start at the offensive line. You got to find ways to kind of hold your own in this game. So we're going to be watching that very close in this one. Looking at this Lions team, I mean, in pass blocking, they're 16th in the league in pass blocking grading right now, 7th in run blocking. Not a bad offensive line, but definitely holes that you can exploit. But the Packers got to find a way to put pressure on Jared Goff. That's a big question, too, is with Jared Goff, he's been sacked 9 times on third downs. So he's been sacked a few times on third downs there, not making quick reads and everything like that. You got to find a way to put pressure on him while also not, bailing out. You can't throw everybody at him and expect Jared Goff, okay, if he's going to find a wide open receiver. You got to find ways, the in-betweener, send 5, send 6. Do those little things where you're sending 8 guys to line, you drop back 4, and now only 4 guys are coming, where you're confusing the offensive line. Those little things in this game where you're playing a chess match, you got to win that chess match in this game, especially if Malik Willis is on the field. and not Jordan Love, there's very little room for error, I would say, in this game. If you want to win this game, there is very little room for error in this game with Malik Willis out there. With Jordan Love, you're like, okay, if he throws an interception, he throws an interception. But, there's still that possibility. He's got the arm. He's got the ability. The offense kind of it flows better. It looks better with him out there. So you have more possibilities. But with Malik Willis, it kind of limits you to what, you can do throughout that long passing game, getting into those kinds of drives there. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on, is what you said, drawing up a game plan, what Matt LaFleur does in this one, play calling with Malik Willis out there. Now, you would expect, if he had kind of the feeling that Malik Willis was going to be the starting quarterback this week at practice was a lot of Malik Willis getting the first team reps, a little bit of Jordan Love, but a lot of Malik Willis getting that first team reps, because you can't just draw it out. I know Matt LaFleur is one of the best guys in the world at drawing it in the dirt. Like, he'll just take a stick and draw the play up in the dirt on the sideline there, and that's how we do it. Like, I've seen him. I mean, he's done it before, but you can't draw up a complete game plan against the Detroit Lions in the dirt there. You got to have some kind of, thought heading into this one. So that's going to be something we're keeping an eye on there. But Aaron, I mean, looking at this game, what are we thinking? Packers, Lions, battle in the NFC North. Who do we like? Who do we like in this game?
I think it completely is on who's playing quarterback. So what do you think? Does Jordan, just don't look at anything else, just gut feeling, is Jordan Love playing Sunday?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
And he's what, 75%? 70%?
The hard part is we're not going to know this answer to this question until Sunday morning he rolls out of bed.
I know.
We have no idea. This guy, it's a groin injury to the point where, he could get out of bed. He could, drop the toaster on his foot, run into a chair, and then all of a sudden his groin's acting up again. He's not playing. Hopefully they bubble wrap him before then. But, I mean, it's one of those injuries where it's, we saw him get injured, against Jacksonville. When he got actually hit, he just got tapped on the shoulder. And, that groin just activated and it was done. Is that going to be what we're going to see here? Maybe they try and maybe it's a group effort. Maybe we see a little bit of Jordan Love, but we also see a little bit of Malik Willis. Maybe they try to, get him off the field a little bit. I don't know. It's tough to say. It's really tough to say. Matt LaFleur does not hint or tell you anything. He's the greatest liar you will ever meet. When we talked about Brandon McManus, he's he kicked yesterday, he kicked today, he's going to kick tomorrow, and then he's going to kick on Sunday. That's Matt LaFleur's press conference. You don't get anything out of Matt LaFleur. You don't get anything out of Jordan Love. You don't get anything out of anybody. So I'm going to tell you this. I would not be surprised to see Jordan Love starting on Sunday. I would not be surprised. And for my fantasy team purposes, because I purposely drafted basically the Packers wide receiver room, I would be okay if he played, because I think it limits my wide receiver room for my fantasy team if Jordan Love does not play.
Yeah, that's fair. That's my thing. If Malik Willis plays, I have my doubts that they pull this off. But I really don't trust Goff in outside games, especially if it's inclement. If we wake up Sunday and you more so than me, but out there and it's bad, I give the Packers I almost 100% chance of winning. Stuff like that I don't trust, right? Stuff where it's okay, Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. I've seen it. I don't like it. It's just I go against those type of trends. So there's so many to just pick them. I'll say either way though. The Packers find a way. I say they lose the game in Detroit. That's what I think. These teams are narrow margins of each other. They're both very good teams, and each team finds a way in their respective building. So even with Malik Willis, I think Goff makes enough mistakes, and then the Packers capitalize. I mean, if you're the Packers, like you said, I mean, you're looking to take the ball away, and that's a guy who'll give you some once in a while. He'll lay an egg every once in a while. So yeah, I say Packers get it. I still think it's close. I think it's I'll say 36-30 or 37-30, or by a touchdown, but a little over 30 for each right there.
I'm usually a pretty safe picker. We've done picks a lot. I'm usually pretty safe. but pretty ballsy at times. And I'm going to go ballsy here. I'm going to go real ballsy. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers in this one. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I think it's going to turn into a running battle because I think it's going to rain. It's going to rain, and it might be nasty up there. The wind might be blowing. It might not be a great day to throw the football. I hope they do because I think Jared Goff's due for a couple interceptions there in Green Bay. I think this is an ugly one. I'm going to be honest. I think this is an ugly one. I think it's like 27-21 or something. Or I got 27-21 Packers. Just an ugly win. Not a good, it's going to be a good win for the Green Bay Packers, right? But just an ugly game where, there's turnovers, there's guys slipping and sliding, just that kind of game out there, a mud bowl. I hope it turns into a mud bowl out there. Like, that's what we're rooting for. The Packers are wearing the 1950s throwbacks. They're wearing the 1950s throwbacks with that all yellow helmet there, the gold helmet. And then they got the gold little stripes on the side. They're all green jerseys, the old throwbacks there. Can't wait for the throwback game there for the Green Bay Packers against the Lions. You got a bye week the week after. So, I mean, you're kind of just throwing it all out there in this game.
Oh, is it that one that's just like the numbers, like just a circle, like a yellow circle?
Hold on. I'll see if I can't pull it up here. I'll see.
Oh man, I hope not. I'm not a fan, but teach their own, right? Teach their own.
I think you're thinking of the brown ones. I think you're thinking of the brown ones right now.
I'm seeing the all yellow helmet with the yellow, like Rodgers with the 12 with the yellow circle and the.
No, not that. They look like they're almost blue.
Yeah, those are.
Yeah, no, not those. Hold on.
I think I see. So it's yellow on the shoulder pads.
It's these guys right here. Right here.
Oh, those are different. I don't know how do I share mine. Whatever. Yeah, I'll not a big deal, but
I know which ones you're talking. They look almost like they're blue, and they got the weird helmet. Yeah, no, the yellow.
And it's just yellow right here. That's it.
Yes, yellow circle in the dead center with the number on it. Yeah, no.
And then I'll send you this one in the Facebook then. But this one is the numbers are yellow, then the shoulder pads are yellow, but the rest of it's blue. Have you seen that? It's a little.
I think
I'm sure you have. You're a
probably there. But we got to we're getting close to the end of the show here, Aaron. We're getting close to the end of the show. We gotta get away from the Packers. So we both got the Packers pulling off a gutsy win against Detroit Lions here coming up this Sunday. Let's get to the rest of the NFL slate. So we saw a surprising one where I think that the Texans might be the worst 6-2 team that I've seen. Like that offensive line for the Houston Texans is absolutely garbage. Like that offensive line is bad. I thought the Jets had a bad offensive line. That's a worse offensive line. The Jets pull off a win against the Texans. Their season hopes are still alive. Jets fans are going nuts. It's like, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. It's like, okay, get to 500 first. Like, whoa, settle down there. You can afford like one more loss on the way there. So we see the Jets beat the Texans. First game up on Sunday, 12 o'clock kick in Atlanta. We have the 5-3 Atlanta Falcons taking on the Cowboys. Atlanta's favored by 3.5 in this one. What do you got for this game?
Weird one, right? Weird one. I almost think, as much as it pains me to see, I feel like Dallas is due for a win. Like, they've been struggling. They're 3-4. I mean, when's the last time? It's been some years that Dallas is. It's kind of like Jason Garrett days, I would say, that Dallas would start out like this. Coming off 2 straight losses. Yeah, give me Dallas. I think they have to. Basically, they have to. And, I mean, Kirk Cousins eventually will have a bad game. We'll have a game where he throws a pick or two. I look for him to do that here. And Dallas comes out of there, not easily, but, by a touchdown.
I like that. That's a bold take right there. I was going to go with Dallas too, but now I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go with the Falcons. I'm going to go with the Falcons. I'm going to go in overtime, and I'm going to go on a field goal. Like, I think it's going to be a field goal by that. What the heck's? I can't remember his name. Like Cow or something like that.
I have him on one fantasy team. I should know that.
He's that guy who likes his zins. He really likes his zins. He like pounds them all the time there. Like that's our boy. That's our boy down there in Atlanta. We like that guy. So
upper deck or lower deck is, I don't.
Side decker. Next up, we have the Dolphins and the Bills. This one's coming in Orchard Park, New York. There we got the Bills favored by 6 heading into this one. What do we think? What are we thinking of this one?
This game, oh man. I feel like the Dolphins get this one. I really do. I feel like they need to win this game. Like they absolutely need this game. It's a division game, so I think either way it stays close. I mean, yeah, say what you want about Amari Cooper, but I still think, I mean, Dolphins don't have a bad defense. I think they can kind of contain Josh Allen from going like bonkers in this game. And I think Tua does enough. Coming off 2 straight losses there, the Colts and the Cardinals. In the Cardinals game, they pretty much blew that game. But Tua played pretty well. So give me Miami. I might actually throw some money on this just because I like they're underdog and they need to like you can't. I mean, if you drop the 2-7, you're pretty much shot.
I'm gonna go with Miami too. I like Miami in this one. I think they're actually going to go over the total there. I think they're going to go over 49.5. I think this is going to be a shootout. I really do. I think this is going to be a shootout. I don't think the defenses will play much of a factor in this one. I think, a week with Tua, Tyreek Hill, Waddle, you get some of the guys back there. You get Josh Allen with Amari Cooper now and a little bit of weapons. I'm thinking this is going to be a shootout, and I like Miami coming out of this one 3-5 there. So next up, we have the Raiders and the Bengals. I think the Bengals win this one. They get the 4-5. It's in Cincinnati. The Bengals are favored by 7. I just don't think the Raiders have really anything to look forward to at this point. So I'm going to take the Bengals in this one.
Oh, yeah. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I think Bengals going away. I mean, coming off that blowout to the Eagles, which I really didn't see coming, I think they're going to play a little bit angry. I mean, the Raiders are the punching bag that you want in this scenario. And Raiders are they're just bad. They're not good. So yeah, give me Burrow to kind of go off in this one.
Agreed with that one there. We have the Browns. Jameis Winston is the new sheriff in town. He's taking on Justin Herbert and them Chargers there in Cleveland. The Chargers are favored by 1.5 right now. I'm going to take the Browns. I'm going to take the Jameis Winston story is just starting. I am going to take the Browns to win that one over the Chargers there at home.
This is a real tough one, I think. But you know what? For just to make it fun too. I mean, I am leaning Browns too because it's in Cleveland. I mean, Jameis. Like I think teams rally around Jameis. Like he's just one of those guys. Like certain backups have that charisma. Certain backups have that leadership. It's kind of been a breath of fresh air, I think, after the whole Deshaun thing. And he's more like, I hate to say it, but he's more like one of the guys, right? Deshaun's making all this money. Like, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but it seemed like he was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Jameis is like, he'll just show up and play for you. Like he's happy to be there. So yeah, just for the simple fact that rallying around Jameis, they pull it off. And I say Herbert's kind of due for like a couple interceptions. Like every once in a while he'll go out there and just throw it all around. So maybe they get some Jim Schwartz led defense there, a couple of interceptions for the Browns.
I like that. I like that one there. We have the Patriots and the Titans coming up. That's going to be a 12 o'clock start there. Tennessee favored by 3.5 right now. I think it's going to depend. Does Brissett start or does Drake May start? Because I like what I'm seeing out of Drake May so far. I'm going to take the Patriots to win that game against Tennessee in Nashville. I'm going to take the road win there for the Patriots.
Is Levis playing for Tennessee? Like I can never keep track of that guy. Like
let's see. Let us see what we got going on.
It's Mason. I forgot. Mason Rudolph's been in there a couple of weeks now. I think. Tennessee. I just forget exists sometimes.
Right now, Levis is listed as questionable for Sunday's game.
Yeah. Right. Give me Tennessee. I think Levis, if he plays, will play better than Rudolph has played. And I do have a real soft spot for Levis. It's just he hasn't done it. So I think Brissett will play for I think they'll be conservative because it's Drake May's rookie season, and Brissett will play. And it'll. I mean, you talk about a crappy game. This will probably be a 24-17, if that type of game. Most likely. I mean, we've seen crazier things, but give me Tennessee to get their lowly second win of the season. They are far. I mean, this team was in like the AFC Championship not that long ago. It's crazy to think that, but
That was a few years back, and Tannehill was still a decent quarterback. He wasn't, but then he was, but then he wasn't.
Derrick
We have
Henry
the
wasn't out the door. Like, oh, it's
right,
completely
right.
different.
We got the Commanders Giants. That game is going to be from East Rutherford there. The Commanders are favored by 4. Yeah, the Commanders going to win that game going away. That I have Jane Daniels in fantasy. He's going to torch him. Like, that's going to be my week.
Man, this one to me, I'm not going to say it screams like trap game, but it kind of does to me only because it's divisional. If this wasn't divisional, I'd give them no shot. Give me the Giants just because I think the Commanders will be so riding so high off of that, miracle Hail Mary that they'll take the Giants lightly, and Giants will do just enough. I think, that they have a okay. I mean, their defense is supposed to be good. A lot of guys banged up, but I still think the defensive line does enough to kind of force Daniels all over the place. And the Giants win like an upset, and it'll take everything. It'll be a field goal. So
I like that bold take right there. We got the Saints and the Panthers coming up in Charlotte there. I tried to say it without laughing. I'm going to take the Saints to win that one. They're favored by 7.5, and I think they'll cover that spread there. The Panthers are a disaster. Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty much impossible to bet on to even take the Panthers at this point. So just for the simple, I mean, I remember when everybody was talking about how the Saints are that team this year. They haven't won a game since that 2-0 start. So there's that for you. But I mean, yeah, Saints do enough. And yeah, Panthers are securing that number 1 pick. I think they're worse than Tennessee. So
I like that one there. We got Broncos, Ravens. That'll be from Baltimore there. And Baltimore's favored by 9.5 in that game. Broncos coming in 5-3, and they're favored by 9.5. I think it's gonna be closer than 9. I think it's gonna be closer than that. I think it's gonna be a closer game. Give me the Ravens, but I don't think they're gonna cover the spread.
This one, I've seen the Ravens lose games like this in the past, where it's like, you don't like coming into Baltimore. Like, I don't know. I give the Broncos a fair chance. Defensively, the Ravens secondary hasn't been that great. I say this is like fourth quarter type of grind out game. I think Lamar eventually pulls away like with his legs type of game, but definitely doesn't cover the spread either. And Ravens do win. I mean, they're a 2-headed monster with Derrick Henry right now.
Okay, I like that one there. Next up, we got the 305 games. We have the Eagles, your Eagles, taking on Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, who have looked a little bit better as of late here. That'll be in Philly. 7.5-point favorites are the Philadelphia Eagles. Give me the Eagles to win 2 in a row. They're gonna look like they're semi-right.
Yeah, I think, man, this scares me a little bit too. Just like I said, the Ravens have lost games like this in the past. Those games you don't really think about sneak up on you. Give me the Eagles. The defense has been playing really good. Surprisingly, doesn't even make sense for me to say that right now because it never seems to be the case. But I think they forced Lawrence into some interceptions here, at least one. And the running game does enough. So, yeah, give me the Eagles. But this one might be closer than you think, honestly.
Okay. We got Bears, Cardinals. That game is going to be from Glendale. Arizona's favored by 2. I like the Cardinals in that one. They go through stretches where they're a hot and cold team, and I think this is one game where they're going to get hot, and I think they'll beat the Bears.
My only pushback on that is, are you worried about the Bears' defense against Kyler? That's my only.
He goes through moments where he looks good against any defense. Like there's weeks where this Arizona team looks like they could beat anybody that you put them up against. And then there's a week where they look like they couldn't beat the I don't even know, like the Panthers. Like they just go through an odd like little spurt. So I think this is one of those weeks where they kind of light it up. The Bears, I mean, they defensively against the Commanders look good, but they look like an undisciplined team, which could come back to bite at some point. And in a game like this, where both these teams are looking for a big win, a big kind of statement win, this is one of them games here. And I think the Cardinals get her done at home.
Fair enough. Yeah. I was leaning Bears only because they're coming off that just gut-wrenching loss at the last second. But yeah, give me the Cardinals. I think, to Jonathan Gannon's credit, he's made them a competitive team, right? He came into that situation, god awful team, like, worst team in football basically. So they're playing scrappy, like they, fly around on defense. And yeah, I think they do enough. Like you said, Kyler plays good, and Bears suffer their second straight.
Okay. Then we already talked Lions and Packers. We both got the Packers. So we got Rams and Seahawks. That's going to be in Seattle. The Rams are favored by 1. I'm going to take the Rams. They're going to cover the spread, and I'm going to take the Rams in that game.
I'll go on the opposite on this one. Give me Seattle coming off that demoralizing loss to the Bills. I picked Seattle last week, so they got smoked last week. I'm looking for a bounce back game. Where's the 12th man at, right? 12th man. They talk about the 12th man. Got to rattle that veteran that is Stafford a little bit there. And, I'm just looking for them to kind of, force the issue here and just find a way. It's not going to be pretty, but I think the Hawks win that one.
All right, there we go. Next up, we have the Sunday night game. Couple more here. We got the Colts and Vikings. I'm going to take the Colts to blow it up with Joe Flacco. Downs is going to have himself a game in that slot because the Vikings can't cover a slot receiver worth anything. They just suck covering the slot. I'm going to take the Colts to win that game. I got that feeling right now. It's in US Bank Stadium. The Vikings, they've done this in the past. They start out hot and then they fall apart. This is the start of the fall apart right now. Give me the Colts to win this one in prime time.
Same here. Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel about Sam Darnold. We're starting to see the unraveling. It's actually earlier than I predicted a little bit, but I just don't think he's playing as well. I mean, last week, they lose to the Rams, and then the week before they lose to I just had it there, but 2 straight losses after a 5-0 start. So I don't know. In a primetime game, Flacco, like what's Flacco? He's got nothing to lose. Like the Vikings are like, hey, we have to keep pace. I mean, the Colts, yeah, they have playoff aspirations, but like I just trust Flacco to be calm, cool, and collected. That's what he was like that in Baltimore. Like that's just who he is. So give me Flacco. I think Darnold throws at least a pick here.
I like that. I like that one there. Colts with the upset over the Vikings. Next up, the last one we got Monday night. We got the Buccaneers and Chiefs in Arrowhead. The Chiefs are favored by 8.5. I think the Buccaneers will keep it closer. I think they'll keep it close, but I think the Chiefs are the Chiefs. This is in Arrowhead. Baker's got, he's lacking weapons out there. I just think it's going to be tough for the Buccaneers to go on the road to Arrowhead to win that one. I like the Chiefs in that one.
Yeah, I do too. It's hard to bet against, people don't even talk about the fact that the Chiefs are like undefeated right now, It's just crazy.
It's just so usual. Usual at this point. We just forget about it.
They don't skip a beat. And I don't think you talk about Baker with limited weapons. That's just kind of recipe for disaster. So yeah, give me the Chiefs. I think it will be like a 10-point game. I don't see how the Buccaneers score. I don't see a path to score with the Buccaneers as much.
Yeah, I can see that. So, well, that's about all we got. Aaron, we got anything else there? We got anything else?
I don't think so. I saw a couple guys in the MLB. Jordan Montgomery's coming back for the Diamondbacks.
They don't want him back, but okay.
I forgot about that guy too. Completely.
He stunk it up. He stunk it up for him after sitting out for so long. He just kind of stunk.
Which, coming off a World Series with the Rangers, it's like that guy just kind of fell, just fell from grace there a little bit. But I'll ask you this: give me a prediction for Burnes, because he's a former Brewer, so we want to keep it Wisconsin centric there. Where does Burnes? I have my prediction, but give me where does Burnes end up signing? He's not
worst
coming back to Baltimore.
Worst nightmare, the Cubs. But I could see the Mets. They don't have a lot of solid pitching. They have David Stearns. He's like, I got a checkbook now. Let's light up the world. Corbin Burnes, you are now a New York Met. I could see that one. I could definitely see him going to the Mets.
I could too. I even think the Dodgers are going to throw real good, even though they're going to be way over the luxury tax and stuff like that. But
Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, all those teams will be throwing for Corbin Burnes. And it's going to be a question of who throws the biggest offer. That's going to be hinged on where does Juan Soto end up? Because if Juan Soto ends up with, let's just say, like the Mets make a big deal for Juan Soto, okay, are they willing to go that much over that luxury tax to bring in a guy like Corbin Burnes? Or are they bringing in Juan Soto and then they're like, okay, we kind of just have to stick with some cheaper yet still big contract guys? You're going to be kind of in that area there too, is what happens with Juan Soto. I really think he might be the first domino to fall. I really do. I think his decision, I think, is going to open up the floodgates for everything else, right? You have your big free agent, and then you have, your big free agents behind him, but then you have the rest of it. That's your first domino. Once he goes, the floodgates open, and then, winter meetings, everything happen, and then we see everything unfold.
My only thing with that is he's a Boris client, and we saw like all the Boris clients wait. But you would think Boris would learn from his mistake last year because they wait. Blake Snell waited forever, then didn't get as much. Yankees off. I mean, if Yankees had Blake Snell, they might even have won the World Series. Like, we don't know. But that there was an offer on the table from the Yankees, longer deal than what he got with the Giants, and now Blake Snell comes back out into free agency. So yeah, I definitely could see that. I think. Oh man, I don't know. I just see him in a Dodgers uniform for some reason.
Dodgers got a lot of pitching. That's the thing, is they got
I
a
know
lot of pitching out.
They are always banged up. So it's like, if you have
more.
You want more. Yeah. The rich get richer either way. But I totally see your Mets point because, they went out that one offseason, got Verlander and Scherzer. After that, they haven't really done a bunch with like pitching. So
no, and now those contracts are finally off the books too.
Yeah,
you're finally going to get them off the books. So you got a little bit more money freed up there. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a crazy offseason. We can't wait to talk about it as it all happens there. So with that, I mean, we wanted to talk about Bucks basketball, but I'm gonna be honest with you, Bucks fans, I got to see them win a game first, and then we can talk about the Bucks, because right now we are sucking. We are sucking. Like Adrian Griffin over Doc Rivers all day long. Budenholzer was not the problem. Griffin was not the problem. Doc Rivers is a problem. So we got to get him out of here. But we're not going to talk about Bucks today. We ran long. We got to get out of here. I mean, Badgers against Iowa. Can't wait for that game coming up tomorrow. We got Packers, Lions, NFC North battle. Great games all across the board. Penn State, Ohio State coming up at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Great games all the way across the college football and the NFL landscape there. And we got college basketball back next week. We can't wait to talk about it. So with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys enjoy your weekend. But until we talk to you guys again on Sunday, see ya.